You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live.
Hello, welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rowan, so I'm joined this evening by Matt Kendrick after a horrific defeat for Aston Villa away at Fulham 3-0 at Craven Cottage. Now, I tweeted earlier today saying another night of me repeating myself on the podcast, saying the same old things, but tonight, enough is enough. I'm sick of Steven Gerrard as Aston Villa manager, and I firmly believe now that this is time for him to go. I don't believe he'll be in charge for the Brentford game, and you know, what else can you say? I think that pretty much sums it up. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then
just joking, of course.
Whoa.
We'll have a whole podcast about this.
Yeah,
Matt,
don't go without me saying that I agree that enough is enough as well.
Well, you know, these are my opinions. It might not be respective of my employer and my colleagues and my bosses, but that's how I feel. Matt, do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think?
Yeah, enough is enough now. We're expecting some. Well, we weren't expecting it, but it would have taken, I think, some kind of spectacular turnaround tonight at Fulham and on Sunday against Brentford for Steven Gerrard to cling on by his fingertips. But I think kind of fall into the precipice after tonight's embarrassment, I suppose. Really, I think we've come to the stage where you could almost just feel it, couldn't you? It was one of those nights. I think I've just tweeted that it was the equivalent of McLeish away at Norwich in 2012. It was Di Matteo away at Preston in 2016. It was Bruce at home against Preston in 2018. It was, you know, all these times you can just feel when enough is enough. Even Dino at Southampton.
It's always October, isn't it?
Say again.
It's always October, isn't it? There's been a few October.
Yeah, it is. It's time for carving pumpkins and sacking managers. But yeah, it was just even. Listen, I think it was one of those nights where everything the narrative, everything just conspired because there was the sending off, wasn't there? And there was an own goal to round it off. There was a disputed penalty. All of those things pointing very clearly like a big kind of neon kind of arrow for Steven Gerrard out the door. Basically, everything was conspiring to say, no, this is done now. This is done. You need to leave this football club. I'd be really, really, really amazed if there's anybody in the comments who's come to a different conclusion. And if they are, I would like a massive kind of point of whatever kind of positivity juice they're drinking, because I can't see anything really to cling to anymore.
Well, we've talked about it kind of on and off for weeks, haven't we? I mean, I started the season after the Bournemouth game, the podcast saying Gerrard is on thin ice. That was from match day 1, and look, they were never going to sack Steven Gerrard after one game, but that set the precedent, set the tone for, okay, maybe this season isn't maybe as optimistic as we hope it's going to be after all the pre-season hype and buzz around potential signings, and we're going to push for Europe and whatever. Like first game, I was saying thin ice. I'm not quite convinced that with, you know, he's had a pre-season now. It's took 2 or 3 months to work with it, and yes, you can say the Michael Beale thing leaving. We've been over it a million times. Again, not fully convinced with that as an excuse either. But I was a little bit kind of shaky as, okay, where are we going here? And it's slowly, as the weeks have gone by, got closer and closer to going, right, when is the cut-off point? When do we finally say, this is enough now? This has got to change? Do we have to physically drop into the bottom 3 before we make the change? And look, we're saying all this. Steven Gerrard might not be sacked, but I would be amazed if he was in charge for Sunday and it's not Neil Critchley in an interim role or something. And we said after whatever the last podcast you and me did, I said, is that a possibility that Gerrard isn't in charge for the Brentford game? What happens against Fulham for him to be sacked? Because I don't think it was just a defeat. If we had lost 1-0 tonight and we'd have been in it and created a load of chances and missed a penalty or something, you go, okay, well, defeat's poor, but you know, we've been in it, we've played okay. People, they were saying in the commentary, like, you know, 2-0 is a whatever score line, 3-0 could have been 5. Could have been 4 or 5 at half time, if not for Emi Martinez. That's as bad as it gets.
Forget the second half capitulation. Even if you take that out of it, we've been pretty much battered 1-0 first half by a newly promoted Fulham, who I'm told haven't kept a clean sheet. But for Emi Martinez, it could have been 3 or 4. You know, it was almost, Willian ran the show, didn't he? You know what I mean? We couldn't get anywhere near him. I'll take issue. I'll be very, very surprised if the axe does fall, tonight, tomorrow, before the Brentford game, which I think it will, and I definitely think it should. I'd be very surprised.
Did you say?
No, I'd be surprised. I've got halfway through my sentence. I won't be surprised if it happens. I think it will happen, and I think it should happen. I'd be very surprised if Neil Critchley is the man who is placed in an interim capacity. And I think this is where Villa are a little bit stuck. I mean, they have got the world's biggest coach backroom staff, but I'm not sure which ones of them would be trusted to kind of take on the baton. I keep coming back to it, and I don't know how it would work, because he's still been the best player on the pitch. But Ashley Young, with his experience, might form part of a kind of temporary rescue management team, potentially, unless I'm just kind of dreaming that up.
Well, it's a possible scenario, isn't it? Because the whole of the backroom staff has been part of the problem for the last.
Tainted by association, to be honest.
It's just that Neil Critchley was a manager before, so it was the John Terry kind of narrative, wasn't it? Wants to become a manager, is waiting in the wings for if Dean Smith is sacked, John Terry suddenly takes the reins. Critchley can step up and become the number one because he's had that role before, but again, he's associated with the mess of this season. So, Neil Cutler and Ashley Young management duo for one game or something potentially. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter. I think it's just that lift of, you saw the away fans tonight, we've talked about it before, when there was those kind of murmurings in the Forest game, I think it was, of we want Gerrard out at the end. But, that was a continuous theme for the whole of the second half, really. Steven Gerrard, get out of our club, sacked in the morning, all kinds of the chants from the Villa end. You never recover from that. And then, the home atmosphere on Sunday, if Steven Gerrard is still there, which, we both believe he won't be, it's not great, is it? Just sacking him will alleviate that atmosphere and that toxicity. So regardless of the result on Sunday, to a certain extent, it will be better without Gerrard and his coaching staff than with them.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm trying to shut on my WhatsApp's pinging.
It's going to be a busy night, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think it's getting ahead of ourselves a little bit by thinking about who could pick the team potentially on Sunday, and who could be sitting in the dugout if the axe does fall. But what I would say is, I can't really, well, I can and I don't want to picture what Villa Park would be like if the sticking plaster's not ripped off quickly, because I think it's going to be, that was a sizable, I've watched it through my telly. I've not got the world's best speakers on my telly, but that seemed to be a sizable part of the away contingent whose patience had well and truly snapped
the whole way in from the
tonight. So that would be magnified. And we get into the stage now. I know how many games in now, Dan? 11?
11 or 10. 11, I think.
So we've gone the quarter of a season now, and we can't afford anything that is going to disrupt our chances of getting 3 points on Sunday. So we can't afford to have a toxic atmosphere. We can't afford to have a coach who's lost his way. We need something quickly so we can start to accumulate points quickly, because we're in very, very rapid danger of being sucked into a really, really alarming relegation battle. And that's not overhyping it or getting carried away.
Not at all.
We've been here before. We're veterans at this. We know what it's like. We know how quickly things can start to evaporate at the bottom of the table. This needs sorting quickly, because we can't afford to waste too many more opportunities for not getting points.
I said a few weeks ago, I think we talked about it after Man City, maybe. It's definitely been a few games where we talked about the kind of the relegation conversation, about whether Villa would be sucked into that. And I was always of the mindset, well, these players and these players should be good enough to get into the top 10 and will be able to scrap their way out of danger at some point. Again, I'm waiting for that club statement at this point. But if Steven Gerrard is the manager for the rest of the season, Aston Villa will be relegated. We will be sucked into that relegation battle, because there's no hope. We look terribly coached. I don't know what we're trying to do still. You wonder what they're doing on training grounds. We see loads of pretty videos of them banging in goals from the edge of the area into the top of the net. And then you look at it on a match day and think, well, we can barely string 2 passes together. Kick off at half time, backwards to a midfielder, backwards to a centre half, out for a throw in. Instantly give the ball away after that first half. Just hold the ball, try and make something, try and craft something. basic stuff. And, it's not all on Gerrard. We said before, a lot of the players have been well below par this season, and changing the manager isn't this quick fix that suddenly Matty Cash's delivery is going to be increasingly better and Ollie Watkins' finishing is going to improve overnight. There is serious problems with the players as well. But that lack of confidence and the negative atmosphere and the lack of tactical setup under Steven Gerrard has to come to an end now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been criticised on here, and probably rightly so, in the past for saying, Villa have got this star-studded cast. And I think the more you scratch the surface, you realise that there's a lot of these players who either aren't good enough or certainly aren't performing at the level that we've expected. But
better than the bottom three, though, I think.
Yeah, yes, definitely. But again, the manager carries the can for this, because he's the one who's responsible for setting them up in a way that makes them better than the sum of their parts, not worse. He's the one who's got probably enough gravitas himself, and certainly enough people alongside him to try and restore confidence where there is none. So yes, the players have got to be massively accountable for this, but equally, if the squad's not good enough, Steven Gerrard, a man who we know prior to joining Aston Villa, the managerial graveyard of Aston Villa, wanted to be on a very steep trajectory. I can never say trajectory. If that squad wasn't good enough, more should have been done. More should have been done over the summer to rectify it. And I know these mitigation, because he's two big signings, if you like, have both got injured. Luca Dean, another of his signings, has been injured. Although arguably the player who's come in and replaced him in recent weeks has been an upgrade temporarily.
Yeah.
But the club were confident enough to go into this season with what they got and to still continue the rhetoric that this was a club that was going to progress and get better and better and better. So we can't all of a sudden start saying, oh, the squad's not good enough and this and that kind of thing. Well, the club can't say that anyway, because they were the ones who were able to impact this and failed to do so. It's just grim, because we've come to this point so many times, and I didn't think we'd come to it this quickly under Gerrard, to be honest, because I thought he would. Listen, I'm not saying he would have got us in Europe or top 6 or whatever within the first 18 months, 2 years, but naively, I thought our days of hovering around the bottom 3 or 4, I thought they'd gone. I thought they'd gone when we, in previous times where we've been trying to kind of just survive on a shoestring in Premier League terms, I thought we'd moved on from that. I thought we're a different beast and a different club, but we're not.
Apparently, Steven Gerrard is speaking to Amazon now, so if anyone wants to ping in a few of the lines into the comments and without trying to wind us up or stitch us up, that'd be great. I imagine.
Well, we've got the listeners and the viewers being our transcribers.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on straight away with that initial reaction, because there's a lot of times you do these things straight away and you maybe think a day or two later, why are we too harsh, or should we have calmed down, or whatever. But we've said a few times, and the phrase I've always used is this kind of being on a knife edge vibe. You win a game or you draw a game, you think, okay, another game is what we've got of this. You lose one, and all of a sudden you think, okay, that club statement could drop at any point. Literally, it could be tonight, 10 o'clock, maybe. Corner flag goes up on Villa Twitter. Club statement, Steven Gerrard sacked. Could be tomorrow morning, could be Saturday, could not even be then, could be in charge of Brentford, and then we kind of go again, to quote Paul Lambert. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on straight away with that initial reaction, because I thought, even if I've got a couple of days to digest what I saw against Fulham, my opinion won't change. I've wanted to be, I've said before about, I don't want, God, I'm going to go around in circles here. This isn't like taking joy at a man losing his job or being happy that Steven Gerrard has failed at Aston Villa, because that means Aston Villa are rubbish. And I'll prioritise Aston Villa first over Steven Gerrard. But I did want to give it time and think, the part of him I do like, and he should have brought that winning mentality and to give him the opportunity to not kind of learn on the job, because Villa should be better than that, but give him the benefit of the doubt, let's say. But it's just gone for long enough now where I've thought, I just don't see it working. I don't see us changing. And to score, was it 3 goals in 5 games or something now? And 1 point, is it, out of 3 of the promoted teams? It's just, that's the standard of, if that's where we are, it's all well and good playing well against Man City and getting a draw, playing well against Chelsea for 45 minutes but losing. This is the bread and butter. If you want to at least get into the top half, you should be beating all the teams, or most of the teams in the bottom 6 or 7, and that's where we've been at our poorest We've not even played well tonight and lost. We've been abject, nowhere near it. Could have been 5 or 6, like I said. So that's the point where you finally come on and go, right, enough is enough now.
Yeah, wishing to be all Roy Walker and catchphrase. You say what you see, don't you? And what we see has been depressing. It's not been good enough. You know, you're a season ticket holder, Dan. Your dad's a season ticket holder. Your granddad's a season ticket holder. I'm a season ticket holder. So we're not coming up here, you know, in the privileged seats or whatever. You know, we pay.
I pay a fortune for my season ticket, and I'm sick of it, frankly.
Yeah, well, that's it. Listen, and I understand market forces, but we're paying a lot more than we did last year, and we're getting a lot less for our money, and it's grim. And you see it, don't you? You see the decline in managers, and there's the telltale signs. There's the muddled thinking. There's the not responding to make changes early enough in games. There's the almost kind of, I don't know, the excuse management rather than the football team management, and all these things. And you see it, the pattern emerges. It goes through the same kind of thing, and then the away fans turn, and then they turn a little bit more, and then there's no way back. And listen, Gerrard could book the trend. He's got a very thick skin. The owners and the chief executive could decide that no, we're gonna stick with this project, and it could turn and everything could be rosy. But then again, I could leave one of my teeth under the pillow and get 50p for it, couldn't I? You know, I'm not very convinced that it's going to happen. So, like I say, rip the plaster off, get it done quickly, and let's move on.
There's a few comments in the comments about Steven Gerrard's interview, and there's one from Holly Jennings, who I know watches a lot of our stuff, who said it seemed like he knows he's done. So I trust Holly is kind of telling the truth there. He said something like, we'll see what happens moving forward, or something like that, which again is a little bit like, I know I'm probably done here. And I said before, if we'd have lost 1-0 tonight, but we were coming on here and saying we've had a couple of good chances there, missed a penalty, so-and-so happened, I'd be, as much as the defeat still isn't great, if you do get something on Sunday and follow it up and say, well, we're clearly on a bit of an upward curve, I think that would be okay. Even a draw tonight and a draw Sunday, as much as it's still just really average performances, you'd go, okay, well, there's something there. But to lose in that manner as well, I don't see how he comes back from that. And it's a matter of when, isn't it now? Do you want to do a sweepstake in the comments, maybe? When is the club statement coming? What do you think? Is it tonight? Is it tomorrow? Is it Saturday? What do you reckon?
I'm going for 10 a.m. I'm not saying which day.
Or what year?
I think go on.
I think it'll be tonight.
Do you?
Yeah, I reckon Nassef might have been there tonight, down in the London grounds. He lives down that way, doesn't he? Gone sees it in person, gets the press out of the way at 10 o'clock or whatever, straight on the blower. You're gone, mate. P45 in the post. 10:30 tonight. I'll go with. Give it a bit of time to settle down, get the TV off, get Amazon Prime finished, get their coverage over, then sack him. And I'm smiling through that. But like I said, I don't take any pleasure in a man losing his job. It's away from that. But from a footballing perspective, Aston Villa are going backwards since we appointed the manager that was supposed to take us forward. So what do you expect to happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure it will come that quickly, but we'll know soon enough or long enough what will happen. Be interesting if it does happen, whether it's just a one-line, party company, thank him for his endeavours or whatever, or whether, see, if they're doing it tonight, I'm not sure they've got chance to hastily assemble
how long does it take?
The management squad for the weekend.
Right,
So I think they might buy themselves a little bit more time to. I mean, listen, this might all turn out to be completely false, and they might just plough on. So
yeah, that is a possibility, but I'd be very surprised at this point, just given the atmosphere. And again, we've said about it before, the statement they used to sack Dean Smith, there's no continuous improvement. They haven't kicked on the results they wanted to. We're actually close.
We're banged on now, aren't we? We're banged on from 11 games, 9 points for Gerrard. Was that right? 11 games, 10 points for Smith?
Yeah, so technically worse.
So it's actually gone backwards.
And I would imagine without checking, things like goals scored are worse, attempts on goal, expected goals, all those kind of things will all be much more negative than they were under Dean Smith. So it's not even like, well, we're level on Dean Smith in terms of points, but we are playing better. Because the narrative will be from TalkSport, whatever, Sky Sports News, all the kind of ex-players around the same era of Steven Gerrard, Jamie Carragher, even probably to a certain extent of, harsh sacking Steven Gerrard. He's only lost one of his last 4 games. Do you know what I mean? That's the narrative, because in comparison to Dean Smith,
he's lost 2 of his last 2.
Yeah. But it was like Dean Smith lost 5 in a row. Ooh, boo, 5 in a row. That's bad. Whereas Gerrard's had that 4-game unbeaten period and then lost 2 in a row. So I think there'll be some of the narrative outside of Aston Villa will be, that's a harsh sacking. He's a young manager. Look at Arteta. See what he did. Arteta won the FA Cup, let's not forget, in his first season at Arsenal, and signed players that were young to develop them for the future and build a project with Arsenal. Steven Gerrard has done nothing for Aston Villa. Signed players who are over the hill on loads more money than they should be. Kind of abandoned the structure of young players with sell-on value. With Danny Ings wasn't a Steven Gerrard signing, but Danny Ings being the first of that kind of shift in mentality. Coutinho, Dean, Bednarek, Dendoncker. What's the point of those two? I mean, not really going to talk about the game much really tonight, but Bednarek playing with concert right back. Like, what was the point of any of that?
Yeah, thing is, Dan, I don't know how a board of directors or a PR team or whatever, I don't know how they could accentuate the positives in this.
There were no positives.
I don't think Shane Warne would be able to spin his way out of it. I think there's just so much. It's just so grim and just so the opposite of what we were promised that I don't think there's any way of, like I say, just putting a gloss on it. I don't think there is at all. I mean, in terms of the game, if you wanted to talk about it, it was interesting. He changed things up a little bit, didn't he? Obviously wanted Bednarek in there to try and help with the might of Mitrovic, I'd have thought. By doing so, he put somebody on who looked very rusty and very nervous with a lack of game time. And he almost opened up the left flank for Fulham to enjoy success down there. You know, to be fair, he addressed it at half time by changing things a little bit, but then, you know,
the damage is done. We said the same things the other day, didn't we, after Chelsea? Even at 1-0, I sat there and thought, well, the best we'll get here is a draw, because we can only ever score 1 goal. So the best we can settle with from Fulham away is coming back from 1-0 down to draw 1-1. The minute it goes 2-0, you get the red card, which, again, whether it's worth talking about the red card, whether it was one or not, you just know it's game over. There's no chance we'll come back to it, because, you know, you think about throwing Archer on there or Ings doing this, or maybe Watkins comes back centrally. But if you're not creating chances, you know, Mitrovic has scored however many goals, 50 goals in the last calendar year or something he scored, or for Fulham last season and Fulham this season so far. Proven goal scorer who's on red hot form. Put Mitrovic in our team tonight and he doesn't score because we don't create the chances. So it's not just about the goal scorer, it's about creating the good chances in the first place.
No, it's basics again, isn't it? You know, the goal that we've conceded, it was a great strike to put Fulham in front. But how many times do you see, not since John McGinn pinged one against Sheffield Wednesday a few years ago, how many times do you see Villa players left unmarked with that amount of space to get a shot away? You don't. Yeah.
Joe Clark defending for those. There's 3 moments. I was working tonight. I was doing pictures for us, so I had another tab open with a few notes, which I stopped half time because I thought, waste of time. But I think there's 3 occasions in a row of an unmarked or a player in loads of space from a set piece. I think it was Pereira maybe for one of them, who was on the edge of the box of the volley. Then the resulting corner from that, I think it was Mitrovic, who then, Mings cleared off the line, loads of space. I mean, like you said, you're playing Bednarek, concert of Mings for the height. Mings is on the line to clear it, thankfully, but Mitrovic gets a free run at it. And then there was a moment just after that, I think that possibly it was either something else or the goal, where you just look at, I can't think off the top of my head who scored the goal, but you just think he's in acres of space. It's just so easy. And those little moments, those little flashpoints in games, things like set pieces, they are the defining moments in games when you're struggling. Defend them well, and be creative from your own. And you might have nicked a point tonight by being better in both boxes. Forget about being good in open play. If you can at least get your set pieces right, that might just get you by. But crap at them as well. You're on mute. You're on mute, Matt. Matt, you're on mute. Mate, you're on mute. You might have unplugged, maybe. I don't know whether you could hear me or not. Anybody want to jump on the call, maybe, and fill in for Matt? is clearly not able to work a microphone.
I'm back.
Into the
I'm
podcast.
back.
So here he is. Okay.
Can you hear
I don't
me?
know what happened then.
Sorry,
Did you censor yourself then? Was it just loads of expletives?
I said something really profound then. It's brilliant. People are going to put it on postcards and on tea towels and stuff, but can't remember.
Was it an analogy about breakfast cereal?
No, it wasn't. This is how bad it's got tonight. I've not even got one of those up my sleeve. What was I going to say? Oh, I can't remember. Go on. Spot me off again. Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's about set pieces. I was saying that, if you could be rubbish in open play, but if you can at least defend set pieces okay and create something from your own, you might have potentially nicked something tonight, but we're crap at set pieces as well.
Yeah, I think what I was saying was that it was almost like a kind of microcosm of everything that we've been complaining about, really, all in one big, I don't know, jumbled mess of a performance. We didn't really look like laying a glove on Fulham in terms of attacking areas, a couple of bits and pieces. I think Ings had a couple of half chances. We looked very, very vulnerable in defence. We looked like we were giving away far too much space and ground in midfield. And other than those three departments, looked spot on. But yeah, so it was just what we've come to expect. Yeah.
Do you have a couple of quotes from Gerrard from Ashley Priest's Twitter feed?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So these are Steven Gerrard's words. It's tough, but I'm a man. I accept it. I understand it. Oh, I won't do the accent, by the way. It was a tough night for me personally. We'll see what happens. I understand the situation we're in. I'm a fighter. I will never quit anything. Quitting is not in my DNA. That sounds like a certain Tory Prime Minister that resigned today. I understand the situation. The performance was miles away from how we looked at the weekend. The reality is that's not good enough for this football club. First of all, the quitting thing, yeah, obviously not. When was the last manager to quit their role and forego their compensation? When Steven Gerrard is not going to resign, is it? Obviously not. The follow-up bit that's interesting or semi-interesting from Ash at least. Steven Gerrard's presser lasted less than 4 minutes. No questions were asked ahead of Brentford, as was the plan pre-match. So usually when there's a night game, there'll be some questions embargoed for the next game because there won't be a pre-Brentford press conference. There was no questions asked about Brentford to Steven Gerrard because I would suggest Steven Gerrard won't be the manager for Brentford, so why ask him about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he probably wanted to get out of there quite quickly anyway. But yeah, it does all point towards what we've all come to accept should be the right course of action. And I think we just stuck in a bit of a kind of holding pattern now, waiting for what seems like the inevitable.
And we've delayed the inevitable. Let's face it, we could have sacked him 2 or 3 weeks ago. What have we gained in the last couple of weeks by holding on to him? 2 points.
Yeah, I think might review this opinion at the end of the season if we don't get enough points to see ourselves right. But I'm not against them giving him a fair crack. I think 11 games. If that's your sample size for Dean Smith, fair enough. Give him a chance to try and get that continuous improvement in. Now he hasn't done that, and now we've got what should still be, a winnable match against Brentford on Sunday.
That's not going to be easy, regardless of who's
no,
in
it's
charge.
not. But I'm saying, lance the boil. I think we said last time, didn't we? Lance the boil and get some freshness in there, so that at least Villa Park can turn up, with a weight off our shoulders and with a degree of optimism that things can get better and will at least stop getting worse. Just do it.
Just in the comments, there's 1,200 people watching this live at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, which I think is probably our most viewed episode since the night we beat Liverpool 7-2.
Since the last manager was sacked.
Well, yeah, possibly. The Liverpool 7-2 was certainly over 1,000, I remember saying at the time. That's our most ever, so thank you for tuning in. So a quick one to those 1,200 people watching. Is there anybody, by way of a simple yes or no, that still thinks Steven Gerrard should be given more time, whether that's 1 more game, 5 more games, the rest of the season? The simple yes or no, should Gerrard still be here for however long? I assume, Matt, from everything we've spoken about for the last half an hour, your answer is no. He shouldn't be given any more time.
Be a bit strange if I changed my mind, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The comments are in blocks of 10 and it just goes up 10 like that. 10, 10, and it's no, not a chance in hell, no. Yet to see a single yes. There will be people out there that still say give him time, and me and my dad have spoken about it after games this season on the way back from Villa Park, saying Steven Gerrard could go on to be a good manager somewhere at some point. You know, like you say about players when they leave, like Leon Bailey at the moment could go elsewhere and be a world beater. But at Aston Villa, that's not going to happen.
Listen, you don't become a good manager without making mistakes along the way. I mean, listen, I hired you, didn't I? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
exactly, and I'm still here.
Yeah, and listen, I don't bear him any ill will either. You know, good luck to him if he goes on and
he might be Liverpool manager one day and be very successful. But Aston Villa, it's not worked, and it's time to, like you say, lance the boil. Well, there should be a better phrase than that. Lance the boil is grim, isn't it? But it's a grim situation, to be fair. Yeah, loads of no's. I didn't expect any of that. There's one person actually, Albert, one more game, perhaps. That's the first one I've seen, and they're coming through very quick. But that's the first I've seen of saying give him more time. But you know,
can you imagine like Albert, like even one more game, perhaps is not the biggest rallying cry.
It's not a
imagine him on a megaphone on the halfway line on Sunday for a baying mob of 40,000 of us. So there's Albert, the lone voice. I'm not mocking you up. Well, I kind of am, but more power to you. But I think even in that kind of half-hearted attempt to cling on,
that perhaps ruins it, doesn't it? I think if it's one more game, it's one more loss. Because I think there's no way we win on Sunday if Steven Gerrard is still manager. I'm not convinced we win without him, but at least there is that kind of cut-off point, and then there's no anti-Gerrard chance in the stadium and stuff, and we could go 1-0 down straight away and it'd still be turgid, horrible football. But at least you kind of have got that not fresh start, but got rid of the anti-Gerrard stuff. So there's a better chance of you winning without him there than there is with.
We've been on. My colleagues have put a piece on Birmingham Live, saying that time's up and Gerrard must go, and they've, rather than the usual cliche of the cracked club crest with a big kind of zigzag down the middle of it, I think they've cracked Steven Gerrard's face a little bit from what I see on on Twitter. I don't know whether you want to drop that. Do you want to drop that in the comments, Danny, if I send you the link?
Yeah, send me the link. I'll put it in and people can go. Whose opinion is that? Is that yours?
It's not mine, mate. That is the opinion of Birmingham Mail and Birmingham Live. I don't get to have an opinion anymore.
Okay,
I agree with it.
I'll put that in the comments in a sec when you drop it through to me. Let's have a look at this image. Oh yeah, the cracked kind of photos there, and I recognise that. There is the link for anyone who wants to go and have a read a little bit more about Steven Gerrard. Enough is enough. Steven Gerrard must go. When was the last time there was a kind of story like that? Like
what called the manager to go?
It wouldn't have been Dean Smith, I don't think. Would it have been Brucey?
I think it was Bruce after Cabbagebate, wasn't it?
You'd have gone with big Bruce must go kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. Whether it made it on the front of the paper, I don't know. But of course, we had the old grocery misconduct line that we put in there, which was
good.
The cabbage throwing. But did I say this earlier? I certainly tweeted it earlier that to me the Douglas Luiz headbutt was the Glenn Whelan missed penalty. It was, you could just feel it kind of unraveling, and that was the equivalent. Although, because of the circumstances of tonight, one of probably the best puns that you'll see across the season was overlooked. Did you see it?
Go on. No.
Brazil nut?
Oh, Brazil. Yeah, good. I think I was tweeting something else at the same time, just saying it's embarrassing. What did you make of the red card? Was it a headbutt? Because the replay Amazon kept showing from, I could have got my binoculars out from here and looked at it. It was so far away. I wasn't still quite sure whether there actually was a headbutt in there, but my kind of theory on it is just don't give the ref the opportunity to send you off. Just don't get involved. Don't go back to Mitrovic. Don't even get involved with it because he's a wind-up merchant. He's going to do something like that. Why even have the coming together in the first place? So I'm not convinced it actually was a headbutt. Just don't get involved.
Well, I haven't seen much of the post-match stuff on Amazon, but surely Dion Dublin's your man to ask.
Great shout, yeah.
He can tell you what a headbutt is or isn't. I don't know. It's just one of those nights where you could just sense it unraveling.
It doesn't matter, does it? It's irrelevant.
How many fans were taken down? 3,500 or something, I think. Did I read?
Oh, fair play to him.
Yeah, fair play to them. And Fulham tends to be probably more during an August Saturday afternoon than a October, whatever night we are, Thursday night. But it tends to be one of the nicer, better away trips. Quite a quaint setting down by the side of the river. So the fact that they've had to go down there and stomach that miserable load of nonsense again. But Villa, aren't we? They'll be back again on Sunday and back again the week after and the week after.
I like that any kind of anti-Gerrard chance was immediately followed up by like a pro-Villa one. So it was like, Gerrard, get out of our club, and then Villa to like straight away. And I think it was Tom Cowley who we've chatted to before, and I follow on Twitter, said like, that's a nice sign of like, look, we support the club, we're here to follow them through thick and thin. Like, we'll always be here to help the side, but we don't support you, Steven Gerrard, anymore. Like, this is the point when we say enough is enough, but we're still there for the players though.
Yes.
Is there anything else?
We are though, aren't we? You know, it's an old cliche, isn't it? But you know, we see him come, we see him go. You know, some of them actually leave with our affections still intact. Others trudge out the door, and you know, I've just written that it'll become, you know, it'll be a depressing footnote in Villa's history soon enough, like a lot of them. And we move on, and it's a cliche, but the fans are always there, and we just want the people who pass through to take as best care of us and our club, you know, while they can. And Steven Gerrard's motivations or anything can't be questioned. I think it was he's not gone yet, so I don't want to speak too much in the past tense, but I think it was a brave move. And I think the fact that
for him,
the fact that from both sides, but for him particularly, you know, what would he have had to do at Aston Villa to really improve and boost his CV that much that it makes him take that next step? Was he? I think there would probably be easier jobs in the Premier League where he probably could have come in and, you know, a newly promoted club that was struggling. And if they'd have got relegated, it wouldn't have been a disaster because he could have been in charge of the rebuild again. But I think, what would he have had to achieve with Villa? Would he have had to go us into Europe to really kind of make his CV look brighter?
Probably. I think you've certainly got to get into the top 10 as a starting point and then really, you know, make a good fist of getting into Europe. Whether you actually get into it or not, I'm not sure. But if you're close to it, that's fine. But it's never going to happen, is it?
No, but he backed himself to do it. He's had a go. But
we're not in a position as a football club to let a manager have a go and have a play at it and see what they can do and give it their best shot. You need somebody in the next. We'll talk about the next manager appointment in more detail when Gerrard is actually gone, but he's effectively gone. So let's talk about it a little bit. The next one goes without saying has to be a spot on appointment. Obviously, you don't want to make another dud appointment 2 in a row, but you have to go for experience next time. I would have thought. And that doesn't mean a 60-year-old who's been a manager for 30 odd years, but it needs to be a little bit more than did all right at Rangers for 2 years.
Yeah, listen. Let's face it. Would Steven Gerrard have got the Villa job if he hadn't had such a decorated playing career and been such a big name?
If his name was Stu Greenhouse instead of Steven Gerrard, he'd have been sacked 5 games.
There's a Stu Greenhouse out there now who's a really good manager in the making. He's just ruined him now.
But you know what I mean? If the name wasn't Steven Gerrard, 1, he doesn't get the job in the first place, and 2, he's probably sacked in the summer, to be honest. If he's not this sexy Steven Gerrard name, Christian Perslow, you know, Liverpool connection, etc., flashy name, and you know, we didn't all get sold into it, but we all kind of did get sold into it a little bit. You know, winning mentality, Coutinho, these connections, you know, the respect in the game, etc. But ultimately, that means nothing if you can't put a side together that looks at least okay, because we've been abject.
I've just seen a tweet from Matt Law, who's a big Villa fan and a reliable journalist on the Telegraph, saying there were claims that some of the Villa hierarchy left the director's box before the end of the game. Told one left at half time. Blimey. It's a very Ronaldo thing to do, isn't it? Storming off before the end.
I got a chance now, won't you? Make it about them instead of Gerrard instead. I mean, if that is true, is that like we need to have some phone conversations with the owners or whoever because we need to get somebody back in Birmingham tapping up on a laptop, club statement, Steven Gerrard, we thank you for your time, etc. We need to get that ready because we're going with this at the end of the game. Is that why that kind of thing happens?
There's no Wi-Fi in London.
Yeah. There's a few people in the comments, by the way, saying get Stu Greenhouse in next. I quite like.
I think even chauffeur-driven limos have to try and miss the traffic, to be honest. So maybe it was just that to get away. I'm all for Stu Greenhouse now. I think we should give the bloke a go.
I don't know where Greenhouse came from, to be honest. It's just the first thing that came to me with the first name G. Stu's all right for Steve, but yeah, Greenhouse, I don't know where that came from. Yeah, give it to anyone at this point. For Sunday, we're looking at a management team. Neil Cutler and Stu Greenhouse, management duo. Get them involved. If we do bring back our football manager series, by the way, I'll probably have to call him Stu Greenhouse at this point just to get a bit of a favour from the audience.
Well, if this does work, you can forget Netflix and Amazon. We're doing this documentary ourselves if Stu Greenhouse comes and leads us to promised land.
Maybe he's like the next Graham Potter, like Stu Greenhouse is currently like a manager in like Denmark or whatever, and then he'll come back into the Championship and we'll go, he's doing all right, that Stu Greenhouse with Bristol City or whatever. A couple of years' time we'll be our manager, and there we go. We'll have called it first. Let's talk a little bit about the next name. And again, Gerald's still here as it stands. I'm kind of not stalling, but I thought if we're alive long enough and it is announced tonight, like we can react to it live. It hasn't happened yet. It could happen at any point. And like I said, when it does happen, we'll talk about it in more kind of depth in terms of the next guy. And this is the same question as the comments. There's 1,300 people watching now, so we've gained 100 in the last 20 minutes or so.
It's the Greenhouse family.
Yeah. Friend of the family, are you? Who would you like next? If you could pick, if it was, they don't reject you, there's an unlimited budget, you don't have to worry about their wages or where they're currently at in terms of a club. I'm not saying obviously the answer is Klopp or Guardiola or whatever, in terms of being semi-realistic. You can pick anyone you like. This is a question to you and to the comments. There's a lot of people that are going to say Pochettino, of course. Who would you like if the decision was yours tonight to make the next appointment?
I think I'll be very boring and go with the majority and go for everybody's favourite Argentinian, to be honest.
Marcelo Bielsa.
So yeah,
Marcelo Bielsa.
Lionel Messi. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones, isn't it? Is he gettable? Is he gettable quickly? Because I think we've reached breaking point, probably slower than a lot of people would have wanted, but faster than the 4-week mid-season break in the middle of November to the middle of December. Yeah. So is he available? Is he gettable? Is the job still the same? Is the job to build on the progress that Villa made under the Dean Smith years and catapult Villa back into European places and get there? Or has the job morphed now into a job of survival and just keeping Villa in the Premier League? Does that matter? Is it the same skill set that it just means getting what we think is a decent set of Premier League players? Like I say, I've changed my tune a little bit from pretending they were star-studded because they've not given me enough to prove that in recently. Is the job to just get a decent set of Premier League players, restore some confidence, give them a simple plan that can get us through this season? I think it does become a season of let's tidy up the mess before we look to revamp and properly build.
I don't think you're expecting the next manager to come in and win 17 games and fire us up to top 8 this season. You want us as far away from the bottom 3 as possible. What
I am saying is the next manager the one who's going to do that, and this one becomes a firefighter, or can we attract a manager? I'm not saying deliberately go and get a manager for a year, but I don't know.
Because that's kind of the Eddie Howe, isn't it? Of going a bit more sensible. You're here for the immediate future. You might not be our manager in 5 years' time to take us up into the Champions League or whatever, but that's the kind of turnaround Villa need this season. Newcastle last year, somebody to come in and coach the players that we've got, give them not a war chest, to quote another journalism kind of cliche in January, but give them some kind of backing to get a couple of players in, sensible acquisitions, coach the players we've got to be better, and push us as close to mid-table as possible, I think is the best we can hope for this season. If we finish 10th, 11th, 12th, I think that's a good season from where we currently are in October. And we'll see how kind of the World Cup thing affects the whole kind of league. So I was on a podcast today about how the World Cup usually would be July or whatever. So the players would have finished like 6 weeks ago. And the FA Cup final would have been 5 weeks ago, and they've got this time to rest and recuperate. Whereas before the World Cup starts, there's another 3 Premier League games and a League Cup game and 2 rounds of Champions League fixtures or something. So we're already in this really condensed season as it is. You come back on Boxing Day, I think it is, and then another game a few days later. And it's this, how is that going to affect the whole side, the whole Premier League? So there is this kind of blessing in disguise almost, that it's like a fresh start to a season come the turn of the year. So if you have got your manager in the next couple of weeks, say, they've got a lot of time then with the World Cup break to assess things. They've got a transfer window coming up. It's not out of the realms of possibility that someone turns us around into a 11th, 12th, 10th place finish this season. I think that will be a good job. But to then go, well, you've done a job, Pochettino is now available in the summer. We want you to be the guy. I want the next guy to be the one that takes us up.
Yeah, I think it has
for the next
to be
5
that.
years.
I think it
But
has to be.
who that is, I don't know.
I don't think you can have a firefighter. Yes, thanks for doing that, but
That just won't work, does it?
But the thing is, if the firefighter comes in and does his first stage of the job, there's going to be a clamour to keep him and give him a chance to do the next bit anyway.
But that's
so
Eddie.
That's
Eddie
Howe. Go for a club builder, if you like, somebody who can get Villa back, decide what Villa's philosophy is, get them back on track and move in that direction. It just becomes increasingly hard to attract somebody to that kind of project when you're down in the dark places at the bottom of the league. But again, Villa have, we trot it out all the time, can't we? I know we're living off past glories, but Villa's a big club. We're led to believe, although they've probably been questioned for the first time properly over the last 12 to 18 months, we're led to believe that the owners really are ambitious and really do believe that we can compete at a higher level. So it's up to when Gerrard goes, if Gerrard goes, it's up to them to do a selling job on the next manager and to convince them. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Steven Gerrard recruitment process wasn't the most robust of selection processes. Do you know what I mean? I think Purslow had it in mind that Steven Gerrard was the man.
He was already in my phone book.
And went and got him. Now, that approach is fine if you get the right man. But what are you getting this person for now? It can't be on name and fame alone. It's got to be because they've got a good catalogue of experience that shows that they can handle a challenge like this, and that everybody's on the same page with a plan. And that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen quickly. I think they'll have been doing their due diligence over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the whispers that you hear coming out is that they've potentially been sounding out a couple of people. But results like tonight, performances like tonight, bring an extra urgency to it. And it's one of those ones where we need a change. We need it to happen quickly. We need the new man to come in and make a difference. But equally, we need the board and the chief executive to have enough space and control of that process. So it's
the ideal scenario for them was we probably would have got another maybe 6 points out of the however many games it is from now till the World Cup, and that would have been just enough to say, right, okay, now the World Cup breaks here. Now we go after Brendan Rodgers, Pochettino, Tuchel, whoever it is. That's given us a bit of breathing space to do it properly, get everything in order. Whereas now, like you say, the results so far mean we have to make the change now, but they might not necessarily be ready to get Pochettino, Dyche, Tuchel, whoever, for whatever reason, because they're not available and things have to move quicker than they would like. So maybe that is why you would see an interim of Critchley or Aaron Danks and Neil Cutler duo with Ashley Young as a player coach or whatever. I don't know. Like at that point, you're thinking, are they going to be okay to get us through the next 3 weeks so that they can land Pochettino at the end of November? But like we said before about it being an ambitious move to go after Pochettino or Tuchel or whoever it might be, if somebody you look at and go, they won't go to Villa. With the amount of money that the owners have got and the backing that they can give them, if Pochettino's saying, well, if I'm coming to Villa, I want final side transfers, I want 100 million and I want 10 million a year wages, just say yes then. If you believe he's the guy to get you into the next stage and get you back into Europe and back into the Champions League, or get into the Champions League, I should say, and bring all the money that comes with that, just do it.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the thing is just talking about the potential caretaker managers again. I've got to be careful what I say here because I'll probably tempt fate and jinx it, but it can't really get much worse then certainly in terms of, we've seen very, very, very few occasional glimmers, but in terms of the performances, in terms of the points haul that we've got, it can't really get much worse. So if it means that this rescue squad have to take charge for a couple of weeks, and even if they are a little bit out of the depth, I still think that is preferable to having a manager who just has nothing left in the bank of goodwill. I don't see what that can bring. I think
there will be a little bit. There'll be a little bit internally as well, as much as whatever you would have thought of Critchley or Michael Beale or whoever Dean Smith's assistant were, who I've totally forgot his name.
Richard O'Kelly, John Terry, Craig Shakespeare.
John Terry is all I was thinking of. Yeah, as much as whatever you think, Craig Shakespeare, as much as whatever you think of them being involved in the mess that the club has become, there'd still be a bit of them that would be thinking, well, I don't quite agree with what the gaffer's doing. If I was in charge, I'd do this. So if it was Neil Critchley in charge for the next couple of weeks, as much as he's been associated with the mess since the summer, there might be something where he's thinking, well, actually, it should be Coutinho playing number 8 and Ramsey off the left or whatever, and it does suddenly change and we are better, and maybe that's not good enough to go, well, Neil Critchley's the guy to take us forward, but if he can fight the fires to get us through the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then we can appoint our big name, whoever is next, I would certainly take that.
Yeah, I mean, the Villa board as well don't need to look too far down the road for a cautionary tale, do they, with what's happened with Wolves?
Yeah.
And I know they were unfortunate with the guy they went for initially who withdrew because of family situations, and I think they must have thought they got Michael Beale over the line, but obviously he's decided to remain loyal to QPR. They've ended up giving it to Steve Davies for the until the end of the season. I think I've read this evening.
I think it's just till the end of 2023. Is it till the end of 2023? Oh yeah, okay. I read it as just being till the end of this calendar year for some reason, 2022. Is it till the end of the season?
I think so. Somebody will correct us in the comments if we're wrong. But
so I won't fancy that.
Sack your manager, almost have your next one lined up before you sack him.
Which is probably what they would want to do in the World Cup break, because everyone's talking about that being like this ideal moment to do it, but unless we're going to be showing up as being massively wrong and Steven Gerrard will still be here for another few weeks, which again, I just cannot see. It's got to the point now where you don't come back from Fulham away tonight. So it has to be done now. So it just accelerates the process forward. So this is where we see how Christian Perzo earns his salary and the recruitment team in charge of appointing the next manager, whoever that is. How much due diligence can they do? How many presentations can these managers come and give? And how many job interviews can they get in the next week or so? Because the next one has to be spot on, and have they got the time to do that? I'm not so sure. And we've talked a lot before about kind of getting carried away with the hype of a new signing or a new manager, and kind of getting to this point where I want to see results on the pitch before I get carried away by the next guy. If it is Pochettino, as exciting and as sexy as that sounds, I'm hoping anyway. I'll see what I'll say in a few weeks if it is him. I don't want to get too carried away until I see some kind of level of performance.
You don't want to fall in love again, do you, Dan?
No, I don't, because like I said, October's a good time for us to sack the manager. Are we going to be doing this in a year's time going, Pochettino, what a waste of time. Gave him all that money. Failed at PSG, now look at us. I don't want to be in that position again. I want the next guy to be right, and I want to see some proof that the next guy is right before I get too carried away.
What it does for your ratings, though? Look how many people you got watching your podcast.
I don't do it for ratings. It's irrelevant.
There's been loads.
No, there's been certainly not. There's been loads of comments and loads of people
watching. I thought you got a pound
for
everybody who in the comments said you've got a massive nose and a big slap head. Or was that me?
No, let's start a pile on, shall we? Although the engagement figures would be great with my boss next week if we get loads of comments on this video. So, kind of win-win.
Let's appoint a crap manager so people listen to our podcast.
Again, just having a quick flick through social media to see if there is anything. Nothing so far, which again is a little bit ominous in itself, that there isn't a post-match interview video with Steven Gerrard on the club's account. There isn't McGinn or Mings or Konsa, whoever are doing a post-match interview. They've literally just posted full time on the whistle and nothing since, which kind of sets the stage for club statement being the next post from them whenever it is. I still kind of do think it might be tonight, but I suppose as more time goes by, that's less likely. I did say 10:30 and we're past that now, so I've lost the sweepstake there. Yeah, I'll kind of want to keep going a little bit just because it could still be today, but I've kind of run our course a little bit, I think.
Can't just stay on air just like some sort of on just to wait till he gets sacked.
Funny though, isn't it? Let's just talk about anything else for a bit. No one wants to talk about the football anyway.
I'm just thinking about the. Is there anything about the game that we should have touched upon?
Not really.
The penalty was harsh.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's that's the rules now. I think I don't agree with the rules that if your arm's out of your body or whatever, then you get that's a handball. I liked it that if it's deliberate, if you put your hand across the goal and you punch a ball or whatever, and it's obvious that you're trying to use your hands to defend, that's a penalty. Having your hands up to clear over and it bounces up and hits your elbow or something, that shouldn't be a handball in my eyes, but that's what the rules are. So by the letter of the law, it was a penalty, but I don't agree that the rules are correct.
Who do you think, if he does go, which players?
You want me to talk about the game?
Oh, I've got bored of that. If he does go, what players do you think will be most relieved or most benefit? Do you think it gives a clean slate to the likes of Sanson?
And I'm not sure about that. The extremes of not quite the bomb squad, but kind of Gilbert, Sanson, Nakamba, because Sanson and Gilbert weren't picked on the Dean Smith either. So I do wonder whether there's just something more there that two managers haven't picked them. I think that from the players that have played in the last year or so anyway, somebody like Callum Chambers maybe, who played well for us and hasn't had a look in this season. But Buendia, I think another manager would come in and go, I'm building my side around you. I want you to start every game. You're my number 10 or whatever, and everything will go through you. Fresh start for Ollie Watkins, bit of confidence, arm around the shoulder, new guy coming in and saying, you're my main man up front. You'll refine your form. He scored 14 goals a couple of seasons ago. You can get back to that. McGinn, maybe. The pressure of the captaincy. Maybe the captaincy changes again and McGinn steps up his game, or he's taken out the firing line for a bit because the new manager doesn't care that Steven Gerrard appointed him captain and thinks, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing here as well. I don't know. I think it's a fresh start for a few of them. Coutinho again, yeah, I don't know. Either somebody comes in and goes, yeah, you've still got something. I'm gonna feature you in there as well. Or they think, you shouldn't have been signed in the first place, mate, because you already passed it. I don't know. What do you think in terms of the players? I've got another Ash tweet for you in a sec, but stick with the players for now so we kind of keep some kind of structure.
I just think there's become... I'm not sure I ever buy the phrase lost the dressing room, because it's
I'm not even sure that's true either.
It's always in the place where it's always been, between the car park and the tunnel. But I didn't get the sense that they're down tools for him. I got the sense that they were a little bit muddled and were bereft of confidence. So you tend, again, don't want to jinx it, you tend to get the new manager bounce. So I think there needs a freshness of ideas, a fresh voice, and something different. So I just think collectively, and that's a bit of a cop-out, but I think collectively they will all benefit by not being part of what has become a very, very alarming slump, to be honest. Happened quickly, I think, because whether we were naive, I didn't foresee this. I didn't foresee a relegation battle. When we're doing we've said before, when we're doing our pre-season and we were all arguing over whether we'd finish 8th or 10th. I don't know what people in the comments, whether they think I'm being too negative after 11 games of the season. I probably would. Let's not say 17th. Let's really aim high. Let's say 16th. I would take that now, because I think we're in such a rut that, Premier League survival has got to be the absolute, priority. And then anything else that we achieve this season, preferably an FA Cup win, would be a bonus.
Yeah, I don't think... I think if Gerrard had another 10 games and we were in the bottom 3 kind of comfortably, I'd be saying, yes, we're in serious trouble here, and I'd absolutely take 17th. I think if the managerial change comes now, in terms of from the next game onwards, I do think there is enough time for them to do an Eddie Howe at Newcastle last season and fire us up to 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. And I think if we finished 11th, like we did 2 seasons ago, and in Dean Smith's kind of best season for us, I'd class that as a very good season from the position we're in at the moment. But yes, obviously relegation is not an option. So if you said you can guarantee 17th right this second, I'd have to say yes, because I'll be too fearful of the drop and losing all the players that we sign and the financial implications that come with it. So yes, I'd take it, but I won't be happy about it. Well, obviously not. Ash's tweet, understand Nassef Sawir is furious with what he witnessed tonight and walked out of the director's box after Douglas Luiz's red card. Christian Perzo quickly followed after Mitrovic made it 2-0. So make of that what you will. One of the owners there. Again, to me, that's pretty obvious stuff. Peed off with the performance and the situation of the club. Come on, guys, let's get our heads together. It's time to make the change. Can we borrow a boardroom from somewhere? Because we need to do this tonight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is Wes Eden's awake? What's the time zone over where he is? Are they on the phone to him saying, come on, Wes, get out of bed. We've got a manager to sack.
Ring him, mate. Reverse the charges.
So I text him. Get him on the pod. To me, it's all just the signs of the obvious. Like I said, we said, I don't know, 20 minutes or so ago, we could look very stupid and Gerrard still be here for another few weeks, but all the signs point to a sacking imminently. So pretty happy to now my colours to one mast now.
Yeah, I'm not particularly happy about it, but I know he didn't mean it like that. But yeah, it's beyond the point of no return for me now. So he's bound to be in the dugout on Sunday.
You know what? There's been a lot of comments about the manager names and stuff, and a few for Sean Dyche, Pochettino, Tuchel, the obvious names that are going around. Nobody really that I've seen and thought that's anything out of the blue. A few jokey ones, Allardyce, Bruce, etc. A lot of the obvious names are obvious, but the thing I like about it, and the thing that's come for this podcast, is the Stu Greenhouse stuff for people. Like loads of people saying that instead, as obviously as a joke. And I've always thought, like when you see like fake transfer rumours go around in the summer, and you see those videos of somebody speaking and doing fan cams out of a stadium and going, "Oh, what do you think of Hugh Jass or whatever from the Japanese league?" And they're going, "Oh, well, I haven't really seen him play, but he'd probably be a good signing." And people get stitched up through that. I've always wanted us to do something like that in transfer windows gone by. And obviously, we're a respectable organisation that can't make stuff up. I understand that, and this is why it's never happened. But I always thought it'd be good if, like, on the podcast, we talked about a player as a fake kind of thing and see how many people fell for it. I almost can't want people to go onto Twitter now and suggest Stu Greenhouse be the next Villa manager, and people are like frantically searching Y-Scout and these different, whoscored.com, whatever.
Check your WhatsApp.
Stu Greenhouse, who's he? Where's he from?
I just sent you a message. Check your WhatsApp.
There he is. Can I show this on screen or not? Is that probably like GDPR or something?
I don't know. Well, my mates just sent it to me, so I presume it's publicly available. Okay. So, and it's your fault for getting in trouble.
The next manager of Aston Villa, Stuart Greenhouse, with his lightsaber. This guy means action, whoever this is. Imagine if he's watching the podcast. How bizarre would that be? But yeah, I just quite like the idea of people like going to Twitter now and going, "Oh, this Stuart Greenhouse from Denmark's decent. Like, we should go after him next." And like people like seriously taking that. Yeah, just be funny. Yeah, I think that's probably a natural end to the show. I did think that there was a possibility that we'd be speaking about the official club statement at some point, because I thought it might just come immediately after the game. A la Di Matteo a few years ago, who was basically sacked on Preston's car park or whatever. Yeah, it hasn't happened. So I guess we'll be back tomorrow, maybe, with an official Steven Gerrard has been sacked podcast. I'm not quite sure.
Or an official Steven Gerrard is still the manager podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. I mean, there'll be no Brentford presser, but if he's not sacked, I would assume in the morning tomorrow or the afternoon. It's the longer it goes on that he's not sacked, the more concerned I am that he's going to be here Sunday, and that's obviously a totally different conversation, but one we will still have, of course. It's a little bit difficult because now I feel like if we finish the podcast now and he's sacked at 11:15, I'm going to think, I wish we'd have just stayed on. But we've given our thoughts, so we don't really need to wait for the official confirmation. 1,300 still. There's loads of comments coming through. There's got to be 1,000 comments on Facebook, which is like, I'm going to get praise for my next like 1-to-1 for this, for the amount of engagement we've got on a podcast.
Flash some up so I can see what the vibe is.
We sacked Dean Smith for this clown, is the first one I've seen. I'm dreaming of a Deutsch Christmas from Andy. Pretty good, actually, that. We need a championship experience manager. Lol. We're not going down, Adam. Come on. Steve Bruce, seen in Aston from Jason O'Brien. Probably kebab or something. Don't go. This is therapy. I mean, yeah, questions if this is therapeutic. You can't go to bed yet. All I want for Christmas is Deutsch. A lot of love for Sean Dyche. Yeah, Pochettino. There's way more than 1,000 comments apparently, which is very good. Yeah, it's a 2-hour drive back from Fulham. As soon as he steps off the coach, sack him. Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of aligned to the same point at this point. I think that one earlier about one more game perhaps is the most positive comment I've seen so far. And like we said before, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement. Ted Lasso as an option, can't do any worse from Andy. Yeah, I think we're done, aren't we? Like I said, if it comes out at some point that Gerrard has been sacked tonight, I'm not going to jump back on a podcast because we've already given our thoughts. If it's at some point tomorrow or he's staying, of course, we'll do another chat then. Maybe get Ash on, get his thoughts from Craven Cottage. Maybe Ash and John actually could do one together, so it's not just you and me waffling through the same thoughts again.
Do you want to know an interesting fact?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not particularly interesting, but it's a fact. Tonight's commentator, Guy Mowbray, I was in the same room with him yesterday at the National Football Museum. I wanted to give a plug for this book that a colleague of mine put out, so it seemed a good segue into it. Have I ever shared the Lots Footballs account with you on Twitter?
Yes, you've spoken like this before, yeah. A lot of footballs in random places.
Yeah, so it's like a kind of football that appears on the spire of a cathedral or lost in a canal or in a trolley that's rolling down the road or something like that. So they've done this book, and it's not just a commercial thing. This is a charitable reason to this as well. Have you heard of the charity called Sporting Memories?
I haven't. No.
Well, don't worry. I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Thank you. Where the people start to tune out and disappear. There's a charity called Sporting Memories that kind of is set. It's got groups all around the country, and it's for people to get together. These some people with kind of dementia and Alzheimer's who gather and just talk about sport and talk about football, and these things that spark off conversation. It might be a photo or a newspaper report, or they'll talk about strikers that they've seen or grounds that they've been to and stuff like that. So Lost Footballs have done this book. So it's basically like a little mini kind of book with all these pictures in of footballs and flyaways and leather cases that have been punctured, that have been scattered around the country and the world. And they're selling it and raising money for Sporting Memories, which is, I think it's a really great cause, to be honest, keeping people sharp and alert and getting together socially around by talking about football. So don't worry, I'll be shoving this down people's throats over the next couple of weeks. So I want to try and get a lot of publicity for it and give it my support. But yeah, it was a bit of a tenuous way to get into it. But Guy Mowbray,
I was about to say, what has Guy Mowbray got to do with that?
A patron of this charity, so he was there speaking at the National Football Museum in Manchester, which was very nice. A few sandwiches and a bit of coffee as well. So yeah, it was a good day.
What was on the sandwiches?
Oh, I don't know, mate. A bit of tuna, a bit of ham, the usual.
Not together. Tuna sandwiches and ham sandwiches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's me done, I think.
Do you reckon we'd have a good stab at Brentford if you and me got put in the dugout? What were you, the manager? I'll be the assistant. Do you reckon we'd win?
I don't know.
I don't think we'd lose.
Could we get our mate Stu Greenhouse to put the kind of cones out? Can he be cones and bibs, man?
Stu, oh my God, everyone's saying he's gone. Is there a club statement? Yes. Okay, right. I'm glad we stayed on with a bit of waffle. Club statement from Aston Villa. Aston Villa Football Club can confirm that head coach Steven Gerrard has left the club with immediate effect. Now, I'm loading up the website. A club spokesman said, "We would like to thank Steven for his hard work and commitment and wish him well for the future." I think that's about 30 words, that statement there. I'm glad we stayed on because now we've got closure. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you later.
Is that
loads of like celebration in the comments. Yes, capital yeses. Gerrard sacked official. Gerrard has gone. Yes. Wow, hooray! I mean, like we said, manager lost his job. Detriment to his aspirations going forward, etc., etc. I feel sorry for him and his family. Blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, he was ruining Aston Villa going forward. So yeah. Pretty happy that that's the decision. Clean, swift, done, gone before the end of the night. You type away, do whatever you need to do. I can continue filling. We've already given our opinions of what we feel about Steven Gerrard through the last hour of this podcast. So if you join this late, of course, go back and catch up with the full episode, because we're not going to sit here and talk about Gerrard's era of what's gone wrong, because we've already done it in the speculation that he's going to go. It's now just kind of a sigh of relief that there's that official closure of, right, he's gone, fresh start now, bit of optimism, something new to talk about. We don't just have to repeat ourselves and the speculation, this knife-edge feeling, will he, won't he? He's gone. Done. Breathe, relax.
I think it's this shows what
off, ending on, not far off.
Yeah, you were right. You're right. Didn't I say 10 o'clock?
Said 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Right. Yeah, but there must be somebody who's watching this somewhere in the world where we're close to 10 a.m.
That's true. Yeah.
This shows what a pathetic human being I am. Do you know what? My first feeling was? What a lack of disrespect for the corner flag. The only time it ever gets its own platform is during these big statement announcements, and they're going to put Gerrard on there rather than the corner flag. But that's because I'm a pathetic human being. Now, listen, we said, didn't we? We've said several times throughout the course of this evening, and we've alluded to it quite strongly as our patience has been on the verge of snapping for the last couple of weeks, that this kind of needed a swift resolution. And lancing the boil, pulling the plaster off, whatever we want to call it. This, he might not. Stu Greenhouse has got a lot to answer for.
Love these, by the way.
Oh, mate, you want to knock out some T-shirts, to be honest. Stu Greenhouse's Client Blue Army. It's done. Villa have acted decisively. You know, let's see who's picking the team on for Sunday's game. I think Villa Park will be a more pleasant place. I think that actually there'll be a real, not that the fans wouldn't have supported the team on Sunday anyway, regardless, but I think there'll be a real kind of weight of feeling now of, right, okay, that chapter hasn't worked. Let's do our absolute utmost to get this back on track. So yeah, it was, all the signs were pointing to it, and yeah, I'm just glad. I'm glad that you kept stalling, Dan, for another 5 minutes to keep us on.
Yeah, it was your talk of tuna sandwiches, and my, was it tuna? Is it ham? There's a little a few seconds got us over the line there. I mean, it would have been very frustrating to finish this at 11:15. Then a couple of minutes later, I had the official confirmation. We can put it to bed now. I can probably change the title on this podcast. Official Steven Gerrard has been sacked, so that people can come and find this later down the line. But it is that, and the comments reflect it, that kind of sigh of relief of, right, fresh start. Someone just put there that kind of narrow formation in the bin. Can we try and do something different? So people talk about Greenhouse. Can he play a 4-4-2? Can he get the best out of Philippe Coutinho? I hope this becomes a bit of a meme moving forward, and there'll be people that will see this and go, what the hell? What are you guys talking about? But if you can't have a bit of nonsense out of the way, then what can you do? You've got to cry otherwise if you don't laugh about it.
If Stu doesn't applaud all four corners of the ground after win, lose or draw, mate, he's gone. He's dead to me, to be honest.
Do you reckon that Nassef Suarez left early so he could get data on his phone or whatever to tune into this and then go, right, what's the mood? What do them two think? What do all the fans think?
No.
I reckon they were watching going, oh, right, they reckon it's time to go. Come on, get the P45 ready. Yeah, done with a nice kind of ending for the show. Celebrations in the comments. Like we said, not celebrating a guy losing his job because of the implications that come with that, but time, enough was enough. We'd done our time of sitting through Gerrard Ball and the depressing things that come with it, being bored to tears. We're a point. Actually, we're not even a point off the bottom three. We're out of it by goals scored or goals conceded. We've 9 points, same as Wolves. We've both got a -9 goal difference. So teetering on the edge, had to make the decision. They've done it. We move on, and we'll probably do another podcast tomorrow anyway with Ash and John to get their thoughts on what they saw tonight and whether it was the right decision, which I'm sure they will agree it was. What happens next? A little bit of looking ahead to Brentford as well, because you and me have done it now. We've done an hour and 15 on it. There's no point in you and me doing another episode before Sunday. I assume it's you and me doing the post-match Sunday, and we'll see who takes charge of that and what happens over the next few days. But I'll get John and Ash to do a show tomorrow as well, and they can share their thoughts on it. But Matt, thank you for an hour, 15 minutes of your life on a Thursday evening. Thank you for the 1,400, 1,500 people that have watched this live throughout the last hour. Thanks for all the comments, getting involved in the serious points of the questions we've asked and the nonsense points of the Stu Greenhouse Claret Blue Army bandwagon. Massively appreciate people getting involved and kind of, humouring us, I guess. And yeah, we'll call it a day there. I've probably got to go and crack on with some proper work now and get things prepared for the rest of the team and early for the morning as well. So, Matt, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us. This is a momentous occasion. Where were you when Steven Gerrard was sacked? we were watching the Claret and Blue podcast talking about tuna sandwiches. That's the moment it happened in classic Claret and Blue fashion. So, Matt, thank you. Have you enjoyed it? Has it been a nice show for you?
No, I haven't really, because it's
Okay, cool.
Well, what's to listen? It's great spending an hour in your company. What's to enjoy? We've set back again. This is just part of it. That the first problem has been removed. We're a long way from finding a solution. So
yeah, they've lanced the boil, but it's still sore. It's still painful. It's still got pus coming out of it.
Exactly. Still needs a bit of ointment on it. So yeah, listen, we'll see what the next few days and weeks bring. But it's an opportunity now. It's an opportunity to set right what's gone wrong in recent months. And there's a lot of pressure, as there is on football club owners and football club boards. There's a lot of pressure to get this one right, because it's still, I know we're mega biased. It's still one hell of an opportunity for whoever gets this right. If this place takes off, we're all here for it, aren't we? But yeah, I'll reserve my cynicism a little bit, because I hope I'm pleasantly surprised that we get this one bang on, and that the glory days return to the mighty Aston Villa. Come on, Stu Greenhouse!
Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Get some sleep if you can. I know there's going to be a lot of excitement on social media. But thank you very much for tuning in to the Claret and Blue podcast. The official Steven Gerrard has been sacked from Aston Villa podcast. I will change the title to reflect that. Thanks to everyone who's watching this on catch up. If you've seen a lot of tweets about Stu Greenhouse, I've already had a few. I'm sorry. Just a little bit of a joke that's now already spiraling out of control. I've had 2 DMs saying announce Stu Greenhouse. So thank you for tuning in. Thanks for indulging our nonsense. Matt, thank you for your time. Good riddance to Steven Gerrard, and we'll see you again in a couple of days.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue and Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.